Week 6 Thursday Night Football brings us another AFC West divisional matchup as the Denver Broncos take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs now have won 4 in a row. Good victory on the road. 2 good victories on the road, to be honest. Week 4 against the Jets. Week 5 against Minnesota. Watched that game. Thought they looked very impressive. Denver now are back on their losing ways, losing to Zach Wilson and the New York Jets, and just a tough loss and just a tough way to lose, just because they just are not tough. And so that's kind of the thing, I think, to me, leading into this Thursday Night Football game is it's one team Super Bowl champs, one team is looking to kind of rebuild again and try and get that Super Bowl aspirations. What are some of the things that you think the Broncos can do to have a shot this Thursday night?
They need to make big plays happen. But then, for me, they have to set up those big plays. They got to get the running game going, start getting 3, 4, 6-yard chunks at a time, and then really kind of set up this Kansas City defense, I think, for those big plays. They're really struggling. This team, on paper, should be really competitive, and they just can't be competitive in any of these games. I don't even know what it is. Like, they just look so dysfunctional. On the field. And Russell Wilson, he looks better this year than he did last year. That's not saying a lot. But they're just still not on the same page on offense. I know new coaching regime, Sean Payton's offense isn't easy to run, but it's also not the most complex thing. Through 5 weeks, we should really be seeing this offense hitting some strides, especially this is the first time in a long time, I think Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and now their third wide receiver, Marvin Mims, have all been healthy at the same time. I get Marvin as a rookie. I'm saying their 3 best wide receivers have all been healthy. Yeah, absolutely.
I know Javonte Williams didn't play today. He was inactive, but you still have Samaje Perine and the rookie Jaleel McLaughlin. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. They need to have a decent game, and they've been picking up the pace. I like both of them. I think it's a good kind of running back by committee when Williams is not playing. The thing for me, though, that sticks out, and this is where it's like they really got to button this up, is Breece Hall ran for 177 yards. I know he had, I believe, like a 70-yard touchdown run, but still, man, that means he ran for 100 yards outside of that. And let me look up his exact carries.
Was not a whole lot because they split carries with him and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. And so my internet's running slow here. But that's the thing to me where I don't know how. And Isaiah Pacheco ran for 115 yards against the same Jets defense just a week before. I think it is going to be a heavy dose of Isaiah Pacheco. And then at the same time, then too, even if Travis Kelce, maybe if they take it easy on him because he did get a low ankle sprain today, but he came back into the game against the Vikings and scored a touchdown. Yeah. But I don't see how they cover. Pat Surtain is gonna knock out one of the average receivers for the Chiefs, but then they have 4 other average receivers that Patrick Mahomes looks or makes them look amazing. You know, so it's just one of those things. Oh, here, this is finally up here. So 22 carries on 177 yards, and he had a 72-yard run. So he still take away that 72-yard rushing touchdown. He still had 21 carries for 102 rushing yards, which is averaging over 5 yards per carry. Yeah, I mean, that's atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. Zach Wilson had more passing yards than Russell Wilson did today, and he threw for 199 passing yards. Yeah.
So, I heard Zach Wilson had another decent day.
He played well. He played well. His one interception that Zach Wilson had was he should have thrown back shoulder, but instead he threw it kind of threw it to the cornerback, and Garrett Wilson lost the battle, so to say, for the ball. But in general, though, he actually looked pretty good. And that's another thing too. It's like if it wasn't for the Chiefs game last week, people would just be already adding on fuel to the fire on how bad this Broncos defense is because you made Zach Wilson look confident. I say that Zach Wilson has been playing a lot better. Yeah.
Another thing, though. I don't have the list in front of me, but in terms of yards allowed per game, the Denver Broncos are allowing an average of 469 yards a game. That has to be 32nd. That has to be the worst in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
By a large margin.
The Dolphins game is going to be a huge outlier to begin with, just to throw that up there. But still, though, I mean, they're giving up a lot of yards
Yeah.
per game. And it's even in week 1 against the Raiders. I know Jacoby Myers had close to 100 receiving yards. I know Devontae Adams had about 50 receiving yards. No. Pat Surtain actually shut him down in that game.
Okay.
Anyways, my point being though is Pat Surtain's the only player on the team that seems to be extremely competent. I like Samaje Perine, but I mean, there's only so much a running back can do. This team, it's kind of a weird enigma because you look at it on paper, they should be really good, and that's where to me, I think it comes from leadership. And I'm not talking about Sean Payton. I'm talking about from Russell Wilson. This is where I don't know if it is kind of a just
these guys aren't bought in type of thing,
or they're just done with last year and he's still sticking around. I don't know what it is that's going on. But you're right. Like they seem to be capped at like 20 points a game. I know they scored 21 today, but like that seems to be their ceiling. I mean, let's go back and look. I'm trying to think of the past season and a third of games. I don't remember them getting above like 24 that often. I
don't really think that they did.
I mean, just not looking at it right now.
The Commanders game, they put up 34, I think.
They put up 33 thanks to
a Hail Mary.
Thanks to a Hail Mary. So, but even then in that game, like they scored 21 points easily, and we think this offense is like starting to vibe. And then they did nothing until the final 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about Denver just because we know exactly what Kansas City is going to bring. I mean, I know Chris Jones is going to.
I do actually want to talk about Kansas City here for a minute because I do think they have underperformed a little bit compared to their expectations. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings or the New York Jets were really teams that they should have been in close games with. However, especially the Vikings. Both teams had the ball with a chance to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. And so the Chiefs are getting like these games, the margins are getting smaller and smaller for the Chiefs. And I do think some of that is for the lack of explosiveness in the offensive weapons for the Chiefs. They do have a pretty good run game. Isaiah Pacheco is running, he has 55 carries for almost 300 yards and a couple touchdowns on the year. Travis Kelce missed week 1 with an injury. He's looked good so far. You mentioned his low ankle sprain in the Vikings game. But again, like the Chiefs are letting teams hang around in games that they really have no business in being in. Like that is something to kind of keep in mind. I know their record's 4-1, and the only team they've lost to are the Detroit Lions, who are also 4-1 now. So like there is a little bit of leeway. Like at the end of the day, just getting the wins is the most important thing. But they might not have looked as dominant as a defending Super Bowl champ would want to look.
Yeah. I will say one thing too. It's like when you are the Super Bowl champs, it's like you're on somebody's calendar. It's like you're marked as like, okay, like we need to show up for our A game. So I think that could be just as in the defense of the Chiefs is every game that they have played, everybody seems to be bringing their best, except for the Bears. The Bears didn't care about that game at all. But even go look at week 4 against the Jets. It's like, Zach Wilson, this game's a sham. And man, Chiefs put up 17 points quickly, but then Jets.
The Jets defense shut them down. Patrick Mahomes had a couple turnovers. He should have had a third, in my opinion.
Zach Wilson looked good. Kirk Cousins against this team, and already this offense, the Vikings offense has a lot of explosiveness to begin with Jefferson, now Addison, TJ Hawkinson. So there is a lot of potential, but you're going to be getting your best. And that's where it's like with the Broncos, it's like even their best. And last year, Broncos and Chiefs did have a couple of decent, good games last year where the Broncos were competing. Actually, one of the games they got up big. But I just think over a course of 60 minutes, the Chiefs should win. And one of the things I think that's even better for the Chiefs this year, this defense should be able to shut down the Denver offense. It shouldn't be hard, but the Kansas City defense will shut down the Denver offense even more, I think, than what a lot of other teams are able to do. Kansas City's defense will be able to shut down the Denver offense more effectively than the Denver offense can shut down the Denver offense.
Yeah. And that's saying a lot because they shoot themselves in the foot. So
all the time.
So let's get into predictions. I don't think we need to talk about it too much. I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going to say it'll be like a 35-21 type of game.
I can see that on a Thursday night football game as well. I think one of the things it's going to be very simple defensive packages, and that's where it's just going to be man on man. Now, and by man, I don't know if they're going to be playing man. Just what I mean by that is it's going to be who's just going to be better than skill position players. And
Yeah,
I know there's all this talk with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and present company also, like in the other skill position players. And maybe it is the system that they're in. So we need to see what it is like with like how their careers are whenever they get traded or moved on from, how well they do in those systems. But I'm just wondering though if maybe you question a little bit of just if they were maybe a little overhyped. Not saying that they are, but it just all these questions coming to my mind. Just trying
I think
to figure out
talent-wise
why
they're there. I still struggle like if they really trust Russell Wilson or if they're bought into this offensive system.
I think it is still the system, and maybe they're not buying into the offense. But I just think also too, as these rumors start to go around with them being traded or potential trade options. Like I know Jerry Judy's definitely going to be on the trade block for sure because I mean they could get a second round pick for him, and Sean Payton's going to want, if not more, and they're going to want all the picks for him. So, but I say that though is like, is he worth that? So those are going to be the conversations coming up. But it'll be interesting to watch them play. The Chiefs going up against the best be a good kind of benchmark. I hope it's better than that Chiefs Bears game. But you know that also being said though too. Speaking of the Bears went into Washington after just getting shellacked against the Chiefs and put on a butt whooping on the Commanders. I mean, maybe Denver can come out and they figure some stuff out randomly in a couple of days. But no, I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs though.
Yeah. So we're both going with the Chiefs. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC West divisional matchup. Is it going to be the Denver Broncos or the Kansas City Chiefs? And on that, we will see you guys next time.